Mates, the people over at Ford UK said, Theo, we want to give you 2 cars. Which of course I said, yes, tell me more. As to which they gave me the Mustang Mach-1 and the Mustang Mach-E. Both of these cars vastly different, although the same name. So today, you'll see a back-to-back of my experience with both cars. We're going to start with the Mach-E, and this, honestly, I've got to say, is the biggest NPC car I've ever driven. So honestly, from the front, this actually looks really good. On the camera, at least, once you realize the scale of it, it looks a little bit funky. But as you go around it, it looks kind of more plain, I would say. And then you've got this weird kind of square up. It's not the prettiest looking car, but that's kind of not the point. Oh, you know what? This is a little bit dirty. Before I do this, I should tell you about Bayside Detailing. This is awesome. This is actually our own product. We have created our own detailing products. This is just something I never would have thought I'd ever do this. Some of you will have actually noticed it in the background, and of course Dale actually mentioned this already on his channel, but you can actually buy this stuff right now, Bayside Detailing. Say hello to the launch lineup. I love the design of these. They look super sick, and honestly this was birthed from the idea. Basically, of course, I have a lot of cars, and there's a lot of specific things about certain paints, wraps, different types of interiors, whether it be the leather or cloth or whatever, and basically I had so many different products for different cars, and it just got a little bit confusing, so we thought we would simplify it and make it as easy as possible. You can also get some cloths and mitts, which are very, very, very good. But all this stuff is tested on my cars, it's tested on Dale, it's tested on all of our cars. If you want to support us, there's a link down below in the description, and yeah, check us out. This is my first experience with an electric car, so there's actually quite a lot to tell you about how I felt and charging issues I had. Cool kind of quirks where you just push to open it, which is, I don't know how I feel. Then you've got a screen at the top here and this big screen here, which is very, very useful. However, I'm gonna say, turn it on, it does a cool doo-doo-doo. I kind of wish you had the option to enable stuff by buttons underneath. Like, as much as these are fine, they're at the bottom, they're kind of easy to access. If you try and do both at once, it's just not happy. Obviously, unlike a normal Mustang, you can actually fit someone in the back, which is kind of useful. And of course, because it's really tall at the back, you get quite a lot of boot space. And of course, you can fold those seats down. And yeah, it's practical. It's very practical. And as I said, quite an NPC car. This, it sounds slightly racist if you don't understand the term, but it's like a white good. It's not racist. If you don't know, a white good is, for example, a washing machine, a fridge, things that normally in the UK come in white. They used to. So when you turn it on, obviously, it's just a do-do-do-do, and then there's just nothing. There's no noise, and a lot of the times, I get out and I forget that the car's still on. It's a little bit weird. To be honest, I have the same thing with like stop-start cars as well. Like they stop and then you get out. Anyway, so this is the drive. It's really smooth. It's tall. I don't really like the crossover thing. It's not really my favorite ride height, but for an electric car, it does make sense how the batteries are in the bottom and it lifts the car up. However, I would really like to see some like electric hatchbacks. The only thing I can think, obviously, is the Honda E, but even that is like tall. It's really tall. The obvious thing about electric cars that everyone talks about is how quick they are. Torque instantly and speed and power on tap. Now, this isn't particularly one of the fastest cars. That was just to about 30 miles an hour there, so I didn't break any laws, okay? We're also off-road, so it's fine. To be honest, the quietness, I really do like it. It's grown on me. I now don't mind the idea of having an electric car, to be honest. I think it's fine, but I would always have to have a fun car too. It's not fun. If you're looking for fun, this is not it. It is a very, very, very good tool, and that's about it. Something really, really useful about this is that if you want to go, you can just like go. That is insanely useful for like a roundabout or something. Instead of having to wait, you just go. It has changed my mind in that I would definitely have an electric car. However, as I said, I don't think I would make it my only car. The fact that I don't have to go to a petrol station and my charging issues I resolve, even though I don't have a home charger installed, which is highly recommended, it ended up working out really, really well. It got to where we needed to, like Heathrow and back, which is quite a journey. We've never pushed it past that, like long journeys, because generally we don't really do long journeys. And if we did, well, we just wouldn't use it. Something you'll hear people talk about all the time with an electric car is regen. So it's not like the diesel regen where you just throw out black out the back of your car. What happens when you let go of the accelerator, it actually really slows down. 40 miles an hour, let off,
and woo, all the way down to 30, super quick. It just drops, which is really, really good. Like as a biker, you will fully understand like this is good. So this is the charger that you get. This is the one that plugs into the socket, and we actually have to do it at a window. We tried it at the garage with an extension, doesn't work. It kills it. It overloads the extension and then you can't charge. So basically this car to charge doesn't take as long. It seems to have gotten quicker as we've used it. Give it a push. There it is. Supercharge if you want to. Make it quicker. Bang it in. Bob's your uncle. So as I said, to charge this car, it probably now takes, what, like 12 hours?
Probably, I think, yeah.
I think like 12 hours. At the beginning, it told us it was going to take like 36 hours or something like that to fully charge. Of course, something to note is 80% is where you aim, that's where, and then it starts to slow down charging from there. But again, if you're like us, we don't really do much kind of little drives. We don't drive to work every day. It's really not that bad. When we first got this car, as far as I know, there were like 2 chargers in the town and people kept their cars there overnight to charge because they didn't have home chargers. But now we actually have quite a few chargers. In fact, I think more chargers probably than there are electric cars in our town. At the same time, those chargers, those new ones they installed, are just as slow as the one that you plug in. It's actually almost exciting when a new charger pops up in town and you're like, a new fast one, you're like, oh, we gotta try this to see how quick it is. And it's like, oh, it's like 5 hours. And you're like, oh, that's quick. I still really don't like the crossover SUV thing. That's one thing I would eliminate from this. I would love just a normal Mustang that's electric, to be honest with you. I think I'd be less offended if that was the case, because it would probably be the fastest Mustang ever, and it was practical. I like that there's less that could go wrong with this car, but at the same time, if there was a normal Mustang version of this, I don't think I would treat it as the white good or tool that this is. So yeah, that has been my experience with the Mach-E. I don't hate it. I don't love it. It's a good tool. Moving on to this Mustang. Sorry, the Mustang. I want to make that clear. This is a Mustang. The other one is, to me, the Mach-E. Like, they're separate. No. Either way, this we've been borrowing now for about a month, which has gone by much quicker than the other one. This has been my favorite, for sure. This and the Ranger Raptor, that was also one of my favorites. Imagine that as like a 2-car garage. It would be incredible. Anyway, this, if you're going for a V8, I've actually considered this a few times. Not this, specifically, this is a special version. The one we've considered is the normal one, but if you're thinking of getting a V8 in the UK without it being like your mum's SUV or something, it's probably this. Anyway, I think it looks amazing. It looks beautiful. I don't know if I would pick this over a normal one. I think it looks fantastic, and if you had the money, like, of course, like, it's not that much expensive. This is cheaper than the Supra, I think. I'm gonna fact check it because they give you a little thing.
I think it's on the back.
I'm wrong, but it is about a few £1,000s more, even with the options, than a Supra, and you get a whole lot more cars. So anyway, we've been living with this thing for a month, and honestly, I actually drove, I think, the Mach-E a little bit more. I don't think it's because like the Mach-E is a better car. Don't get it twisted. If I was gonna go for a Mustang, you gave me a choice, it will be this one, no question. But I think, well, I was probably just busier, and also I've driven a manual V8 before. So as you can see, it has one of these. Now that is honestly one of the coolest things about this. Manual V8, honestly, can you beat manual V8s? I don't know if you can. Infotainment, it's Ford, you know, it's got Android Auto, Apple CarPlay. Speaker system, probably in like the top 5 speaker systems I've used in a car. I feel like coupe cabins are just a million times better than any other. Boot space is something that's actually pretty good in this. Have a look. Very usable, and something that's actually pretty rare on any kind of coupe car. Basically, the seats actually fall down. But just look at this thing, it's cracking. I know Americans love the clear lights on this. I personally much prefer the red lights. I kind of wish we had the red lights, but when you turn the car on, basically they light up red. The reason it's done is obviously because the indicators on the side are yellow, which is how it should be, because any other way is stupid. And something that's actually really rare on new cars now, it just doesn't happen anymore. If you listen closely after you've been for a drive, it does the tink, tink, tink. I don't know if you can hear it at all, but that doesn't happen on new cars. That's actually a thing they solved, but I didn't want them to solve it. But this still does it. It's raw, it's got a V8, it's got a manual. It's a proper car. See, that's what a proper car sounds like. It's beautiful. Very nice. V8 motor. So I love this thing. I absolutely adore it. I just I want a manual V8 in my life, just better. This definitely just feels more like a car, like an experience, whereas the Mach-E obviously felt like a tool, and like that was fine. They both have their purpose, and I really actually enjoyed the dynamic between the two. But of course, if I was going to spend my money, because realistically they're both about the same price, there ain't no question. V8, V8, V8. I actually would say you don't get more miles in this because it's also not great in terms of range, but of course the electric version allows you to drive much further and all that stuff. But V8! Not like super sad to let this one go though. Obviously I neglect the LC a little bit when I got a manual V8, but I do think the Mach-E taught me a little bit more about having a practical car. But I also work from home, so do I need a practical car? Nope. See, I feel like I need to summarize, but I don't think there really is a summary other than I like V8s. I'm just gonna keep doing this. So Ford, we appreciate all the love and giving us these cars to test out and be able to use. And please, Ford, do make sure you put me on the list to try the hybrid Mustang that's rumored, because I actually think that sounds super sick and all-wheel drive and yeah. Oh, and if you didn't see the original video on this car when I first got it, that's actually available on the Theo Thomas channel. Yes, it's finally back, so make sure you watch that too.